Hey, it's Don. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about quantities going out, shipments, and things like that. People send me photos and talk about such and such posted this massive image with all these packages going out and things like that. Now, that's always great to see that you're selling a whole bunch of stuff, but the bottom line, the bottom end to me is how much are you making? I don't care if you send out 100 packages or not. If you're not making anything on those packages, it's not going to do you any good. It's pointless to show those kind of photos. I would rather see somebody post one item that sold for $1,200 in one day and show it going out than anything else, really, because dollar-wise is important. The amount that's going out, the amount of profit, I should say. So if I'm making $1,000 profit on something and it's one item, I'm doing way less work than somebody who's sending out 50 items to only make $300-400. Now, quantity isn't always important to us. Now, it's dollar amount. The end of the line, what's my bottom line for that specific day? Now, it's Christmas Eve today. I'm doing the last push. We did some sales, quite a few sales. And I've got stuff going out today, obviously. It's Christmas Eve. I want to get everything out I can. Now, this stack you see right here, including what's in this box, is $1,200. No exaggeration. There's $1,200 sitting on this table right here, and there's another $800 sitting over here. Now, obviously, I still have to wrap this, and I've got some more bigger boxes upstairs that were already taken up, so I don't have to haul a whole bunch all at once. This here is about $800. So this is way, way, way more work than sending out this little stack here. This alone is $500. There's 10 lots of buttons, and $50 a piece is what I got, average. Now, obviously, they weren't each $50, but I did work out a deal with somebody who collects hotel stuff, and that's what those are there. Rest of them are some records and some just paper smalls. This isn't going to take me any time at all, but this is the bulk of my sales. This is $1,200. So, again, you've got to look at it from the dollar point. I'm more impressed with your bottom line. That's what matters. Nothing else matters when you're looking at your business. If you don't have money being brought down to the bottom line, you're not producing a profit income for you, you're just spinning your wheels. You're not getting anything back out of it. Obviously, it takes time. You've got to delve into it. You've got to understand the markets. The more you know about certain areas, specialty or niches or whatever you want to say about it, the better you're going to do. You're able to source more. You're able to sell them for a higher price because you know more about them, so you can put good SEOs and good keywords in your titles. You're hopefully better at illustrating or photoing them, I should say, and your pictures are better than everybody else's. Now, I've talked in many recent videos, I'll include a link up here, about what we get for many of our items. Now, most of the items I'm showing you, or I just showed you, I took in more than anybody else sold those items for in the past 2 years of me keeping track of it. You can definitely see in Terapeak that the last year's worth of data, I took top dollar on most of the items that I showed you. And I can't play that. I can't do that if I don't have the information and understanding in that specific area. It just doesn't work practical for me to be able to do this. This isn't something I could do when I first started. This is something that's taken me a long length of time. And I've said it many times. We've been selling full-time for roughly a decade, 10 years. We've been selling online since Yahoo auction days, 25 plus years. So I've got the experience, at least I understand how it all works. There's a ton of stuff that I don't mess with. I don't know enough, like sports collectibles and things like that. There's a few that I do know. There's a few things that I do buy if they're vintage and I know enough about them. But centering in on something, knowing more about one specific, two specifics, or 20 or 30 like we know, is going to get you more money. It's going to make it easier where you're not shipping out 50 packages to make $300. Instead, you're shipping out a small amount of stuff, $1,200 versus $800. Now, I don't know what everybody else's looks like other than the ones that people show me, but usually it's a bunch of stuff and it's just hundreds of dollars. So you specialize in something that's at least somewhat unique. Now, one good thing about the stuff that I sell is that it's mostly unique. So even if somebody else is looking for the same type of items, chances of you finding that exact same one that I have is really kind of slim because they're different. Everything's regional. A lot of the items that I sell are from specific towns and cities, or scarcity-wise, this specific version of something I have may not show up. Like the packet here, they hardly ever show up. You know, if you don't know enough about them either, you won't be able to properly ID them. A lot of the items I sell, buttons, uniform pieces, accoutrements, things like that, are ID specific. You have to be able to ID them correctly. Not just ID them, but to be able to date them correctly. So that all plays into why I get more for some things. I get asked by potential buyers all the time, why is this one more than that one? And they're basically the same. And it comes down to how old something is. It's close to the original source. So let's say they started creating something in 1860, and the same business created that item to 1940s. Now, which item is going to be worth the most? The first one's off the shelf, like 1860 versions versus 1940 versions. It's just like a comic book, a first edition. Like Don Primetime Treasure, and a good friend of the channel, he would get the methodology on that. You want it close to the original source. It's not diluted. It's the original dyes. It's the original printing. It's the original stitching, whatever the case may be. Quantity, again, is super, super good, but with doing stuff like this, I would rather send out 5 packages for $1,000 than 100 packages for that same $1,000. Chances are, the more you send out, the more packages you send out, the more expense you have into it. Not just that, the more labor you have into it, the more of your time you have into it. So if I ship less items, but I sell the same, I'm always ahead of everybody else because I am not spending the extra time. I would rather hold tight on my prices and take a higher price and sell less items at a higher price than sell a bunch more items cheap. Those cheap items just aren't going to make it for me. I need to be able to sell a set amount at a certain price. Now, I know a lot of people talk about average sale price per item in your store. It does and it doesn't matter. It just depends. If you sell a bunch of high dollar items, you're going to outweigh all the other items. So you could sell 5 items that bring you 10 grand in, and then to sell another 1,000 items that only bring you 5,000 in. Again, it's hard to compare those types of things when you're doing this sort of thing. So keep those thoughts in mind when you're doing this sort of thing. Quantity isn't always the best bet. High dollar or holding off for a bigger dollar in is good. Now, if you don't know the markets, you don't know what a high dollar is or what you can expect, you haven't been doing this very long, you may not know how to play that game. It's just something that's going to take you time. Anybody can figure this out if you invest the time into it. You know, I can tell you 100 times how to do something, but until you actually step out and do it, many people just won't get it fully. So I'm a doer. I got to go out and do it to understand it. So I'm going to make mistakes too. You're going to make mistakes when you're doing this. So don't always worry about getting the top dollar for everything, because you're not going to be able to do that every time. I let stuff go even if I know someone could be selling it or making some money, as long as I'm getting what I want out of that item. So, you know, my bottom line is, again, what matters. I don't worry about anything else other than that bottom line. If something's skewing in the wrong direction, my projections show me going down, I do something. For us as well, though, it's not just eBay. I have other parts of my business. So one area may be down, other ones may be up. My bottom line still may be growing. That's what matters. This month, right now, is the busiest month I've ever had across the board on every site pretty much that we are on, every platform, everything that we are doing. And it's only because I am pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing this. Shipping issues or not, I'm just moving on. I'm doing what I need to do to take care of it. And I haven't had any major issues at all with complaints or upset people or any of that sort of thing. But anyway, that's just a touch on that. Don't always think that it has to be a specific quantity or anything else like that. Don't worry about what other people are sending out. Don't worry about the quantity they've got going out. That doesn't matter. What matters is how much they made off those items. So if you really want to be impressed, ask them how much you made off those items. And if it's some phenomenal number, that should be the impressive aspect of it. A picture doesn't express the bottom line to me. The value of those items, the amount that you bring down, your net is what matters. But that's about about it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
Waging war for all the power in the universe.
Now it's your turn. Give it up, Skeletor. I've got He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Come on, He-Man. Come on. Come on, He-Man. You got it, He-Man. You're a hero.
You can be a hero.
With He-Man.
Figures and accessories each sold separately. New from Mattel.